Driving kids to school is my job. It's quite a simple job, and I do enjoy it very much. As a school bus driver, I am very well aware of the responsibility and the precautions that I have to take in order to bring those children safely back to their homes. I've been doing this job for almost 30 years. Some of these students that rode with my bus have become parents themselves, and now I also fetch their children. It's a long story, but my wife and I never had a child. And despite that, I never felt lonely or incomplete, since those children that I drop off to school have filled that gap and they became my happiness. I've had some favorites, but I was like a parent to each one of them. It brings me joy whenever I see them become successful or perform great in school. Of course, there were some silly children as well, but I always made sure to lead them to the right path to become a good person someday. Being the school bus driver of the only school in our community, most people knew me. If you even ask my name around, most will say I'm everyone's grandpa. I am liked by everyone, simply because I am good with kids and I can pretty much befriend anybody. It is why most parents have no problem seeing me spending time with their children. You see, every Friday, these school hours are early by an hour or so, and I had the time to spend with the kids in my bus. We use this time to play together, but as a rule, no one should ever leave the bus. This is to ensure that I can pay attention to everyone, and also to make sure that no one gets lost. I would bring board games, playing cards, and the such, just to keep the kids entertained. I would drive up to this hill for the view where the grass is blanketed by dandelions and pine trees that are towering over the surroundings. It would take 10 minutes to go there, and another 10 to go back, so we always had about 40 minutes of playing. The kids always wanted to stay longer, but I made it clear to them that if I failed to take them back home in time, their parents might not allow us to play again together. One day, I decided to go somewhere new. There was this abandoned playground that I found in the middle of nowhere. I found the place when I was venturing the forest to find some wild black-eyed Susan that I used for making a medicinal tea. It was strange because I was born in this town, and I've explored most of the forest in the area. There was no way I could have missed that playground. The slides and monkey bars were covered with rust, and the whole place was concealed by shrubs. What's also unusual is that the playground is far from civilization. It would take a 15-minute drive and another 5 minutes on foot to get there. So, I can't think of any logical reason of why would there be a playground in such an isolated place. And despite that, I was really excited to show the kids at the playground. The next morning, I loaded a few pails of paint, planks of wood, and some tools on my truck to restore the playground. It took me almost a month to fix and decorate everything. I also made a new path that leads directly to the roadway, and a parking space for the bus. After a few touch-ups, I was finally ready to show the playground to the kids. Friday afternoon has come, and I was so excited to bring the children to our new playground. The kids were unsuspecting that we weren't driving up to the hill that we always used to play, until the kid that sat in the front asked me, "Mr. Frederick, why are we not going up to the hill? Are we not going to play again today?" Anna asked. No, Anna. We're going to play somewhere new," I replied. Her eyes were glittering as I said that there was a new place for us to play. After roughly 15 minutes, I parked the bus and told everybody that we were gonna play outside. Okay, everybody, listen now. I'm letting you guys play in this new place that I found, but promise me to never get out of my sight, or else we're all gonna go back inside the bus. We promise, Mr. Frederick, the children replied in unison. The kids were thrilled since we have never played outside of the bus. I tasked Joey, the biggest kid on the bus, to be on the back so that he could make sure that everyone is not leaving the line. I was in the front, leading the children to the playground, when I noticed that the path was getting narrower. "Are we lost, Mr. Frederick?" Tim asked. "I hope not. Don't worry, Tim. We're almost there," I reassured. After roughly 5 minutes, we reached the playground, and I was just as excited as everyone else. I ran like a child chasing an ice cream truck. Hell, it was the fastest I've seen myself run in 20 years. Although we do have a playground in the park, the kids loved our playground more than anything else. The sight of the kids being so happy also brought indescribable joy to me. Everyone was enjoying the playground until I told them it was time to go home. "Hey, I'm so sorry to tell you guys, but we have to go home now. Now don't worry, there are no classes tomorrow, so we can just come back here. Our meeting place will be on the Central Park at 10 a.m. "Please, just 5 more minutes, Mr. Frederick," the children begged. I let the kids play for a few more minutes, since it was their first time on the playground. We were already 10 minutes late on schedule, so I hurried up on the way home. I drove faster than usual, so that we would all be home in time, and their parents wouldn't be worried. "Look at the sunset, Mr. Frederick. It's so beautiful," Anna exclaimed. I turned my neck to the right and I witnessed the sunset. Indeed, it was stunning. Shades of pink and magenta were complemented by the warm colors of red and orange from the setting sun. I had no recollection of what happened later that day. The next morning, I quickly went downstairs for breakfast, so I could get the bus from school and fetch the kids from our meeting place. "Why are you in such a hurry?" my wife had asked. I promised the kids that we'll go play today in that new playground that I had found." "Oh, is that so?" she replied in a worried tone. Yeah. I haven't asked their parents' permission yet, but I'm sure it'll be fine for them." I was about to get the bus keys, only to find out that it was missing from the bowl I had always put it in. It was strange since I had never misplaced the keys. I didn't have enough time to look for it, so I just used the spare keys and quickly headed to the school. I drove to the park and had all the kids aboard the bus. Everyone was so excited to go back to the playground. As soon as we had reached there, the kids ran so carelessly just to play already. We played for hours and hours until it was about sunset again. I was sitting on the bench, and Anna sat beside me. "Look at the sunset, Mr. Frederick. It's so beautiful." Upon hearing what she said, everything went silent. The laughter of the children slowly faded. I turned my head again to Anna, but she wasn't there anymore. All the kids were completely missing. I was looking everywhere, but I couldn't find them. It was as if they just vanished into thin air. At that point, I was already crying, panicking. "The crash wasn't your fault, honey." I instantly turned behind me and saw my crying wife. "What? What crash? What do you mean?" "The investigators said you were distracted, which caused the school bus to rush into the cliff and roll down. All the kids died, but somehow you survived. The school fired you and confiscated the bus keys, which is why you couldn't find them. The parents were so furious that they wanted you to be jailed. However, they soon realized that it was purely an accident." At this point, I felt the guilt and grief rushing through myself. I couldn't process the whole ordeal. "But how come I can't remember anything?" I asked. "You've suffered from brain damage, which caused your anterograde amnesia. Your brain cannot create new memories, and now you're stuck in the past. Every time I tell you the truth, you always try to kill yourself out of guilt. It's why I refrained from telling you about the accident. Every single day, you come back to this playground to play with the children, but they were just a figment of your imagination. Perhaps it was because of extreme guilt and frustration that your mind created a positive imagination for you." But the bus, it seemed fine. There wasn't even a single scratch," I stammered. "I had to make you believe that everything seemed fine. I used our life savings to buy a bus, so that I could recreate the exact same moment every day. Why are you telling me all of this right now?" "This is the 857th time you visited this playground. I follow you here every single time to make sure you'll go home safely, but I just couldn't resist to see you in pain anymore. It wasn't your fault, John." I hugged my wife, and we both sat down on the bench. The sun was already about to set. "I'm fine now, Linda. Let's go home." We headed back to the bus and drove home. A few minutes later, I saw the cliff where the bus probably crashed. "Look at the sunset, hon. It's so beautiful," my wife uttered. I looked directly onto the horizon to admire the beauty of the sunset. Indeed, it was purely magnificent. Shades of pink and magenta were complemented by the warm colors of red and orange. A few moments later, I found myself waking up from my bed. I couldn't remember what had happened later that day. I called out to my wife to ask what she wants for breakfast, but she wasn't home. Perhaps she woke up early for a morning walk. Well, I should be going now. The children are waiting for me at the park.